Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel, and welcome back to Sorna Emergent Biopark in Jurassic World Evolution, a project where we're aiming to build this biologically accurate dinosaur park and preserve with the use of mods. In today's episode we're going to be including 2 theropods from South America. If that does sound good to you, and if you do like today's episode, please do consider leaving a like on the video, and of course do subscribe for more Jurassic World Evolution content. Alright, so in less than 2 weeks, Jurassic World Evolution 2 is dropping, and we need to finish this park before that, so I'm going to try something I've not really done before, and I might try and upload an episode almost every day. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, I've never done that before, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but we're going to give it a try because we are getting quite close to the release of Jurassic World Evolution 2, and I really want to get, completely invested in that once that comes out because I'm so excited for it. So that means this park should kind of wrap up by then, and because of that we are quite behind, and I'm going to try and wrap things up as quick as possible while maintaining the quality of the park, of course. So we'll see how that all goes. Anyways, in today's episode we are going to be building a couple habitats, one for Mapusaurus, which is one of the largest theropods ever to exist, and a beautiful mod by LA Studios, and a more wetlandy habitat for some Irritator, which is one of the smallest spinosaurids, also from South America, and in fact also by LA Studios. Both fantastic mods, both beautiful creatures. We'll have a good up close look at them later in the live section of today's video, but I think it's gonna look really good. The habitats I'm quite happy with, and yeah, just really nice additions to the park as a whole, I think. Especially just the quality of the animals, they're really fantastic. I'm a huge fan of how the Irritator looks. The Mapusaurus especially is one of the most beautiful theropods, I think, to have entered the game, and really fantastic work by LA Studios here. Though at this point, I don't have to say it, LA Studios always does really fantastic work, so really no surprise there whatsoever. Of course, this is one of their last mods. They of course moving on to bigger things with Jurassic World Evolution 2 coming out, and of course I think that's just how the modding scene is going to go for a while. It's going to be quite quiet for Jurassic World Evolution 1. Maybe it will kind of kick back up later on, but I think for now that's going to be how it is, and that's absolutely fine. I think people are definitely more kind of excited for Jurassic World Evolution 2 now, which is entirely understandable. I'm incredibly thrilled. I just watched the new dev diary yesterday, and that was fantastic. Seeing the Spinosaurus back, wow, it looks stunning, so gorgeous, really something else. I think that Spinosaurus, it just looks so much more, the textures are improved, the model itself I think even has probably gone through some changes. It looks a lot more like the movie version, really stunning stuff. And of course we've even saw a new pterosaur. We saw either a Tapiara or a Tupendactylus. They're very similar animals, and all the pop culture kind of instances of Tapiara were based on Tupendactylus, I believe. So could really be either, and I'm not too fussed which one it is because they are quite similar. So I'm really excited for that. I'm talking about today's episode, by the way. I always end up talking about Jurassic World Evolution 2 before I end up talking about what's going on in the episode. This is going to be the Mapusaurus habitat. As you can see, you've got some quite thick, powerful walls on the sides, but I wanted to keep the habitat itself quite open in the middle, and a lot more rocky and kind of dry and arid. I didn't want it to look too foresty, but also not too temperate, because we have focused a lot on temperate habitats prior to this. So as you can see, it's a lot more arid, more palm trees, quite a lot of rocks and sand, but not really much grass. Some water in the middle, and I think it ends up looking quite nice. I like these little rock formations that have a bit more lush foliage around them, because I assume that's where water would collect and stuff, and plants would grow in between the cracks of the rocks and stuff. And I really think it ends up looking quite good. Lots and lots of rocks. And I think the Mapusaurus end up looking really good in this habitat. I put in a pair of them. The skins are so fantastic, and of course we'll have a much closer look at them in the live play section today. That will be a little bit longer because I want to look at some of the other habitats as well. Here we are starting work on the Irritator habitat, which is just going to be next to this, and actually cross into that big central lake a little bit. I wanted to kind of make this monorail look a little bit rocky, which I actually did off screen. I added in a bit of a monorail system that links different parts of the park. You could take this all the way up to the T-Rex habitat and stuff like that. So, you know, it's pretty easily, you can really easily find your way across the park. I think I might have accidentally added in like some of the monorail lookout stops as well, which are part of the mod. Can't remember which mod it is. It's one of them. I think it's probably the expanded paths by, I think, Irritator. So I'm not 100% sure. We can always look that up in the description down below. Fantastic mod anyways. Allows for like some good kind of lookout points where guests will stop on the monorail and like be able to look out over the park. I really like that concept. I think it looks quite good. This habitat, of course, for the Irritator needs to be quite wet. These are very much wetland animals. Irritator is actually one of the smallest dinosaurs that I'm aware of. And of course, it's called Irritator because there were a lot of irritating things happening when it was discovered. Like, it changes a lot, the story behind it. I don't know which one is the exact one, but sometimes people say that, oh, the excavation was really difficult. That's why they called it Irritator. Some people say the people who like try to put it together wrongly, creating a lot of trouble for the paleontologists. But I don't know what exactly the actual story is behind why it's called Irritator. And I think it's one of those things that does change a little bit with time because everyone's got their own version of the story. I'm sure someone knows out there, so please do let me know in the comments if you know the actual final reason why it was called Irritator. But it's just quite funny that whatever happened, it was annoying enough to actually name an entire species Irritator. So that was quite funny. Here, of course, you can see how the wetland part of this habitat connects out to the rest of the park. I used just the invisible fence, and the idea is that that area is just a little bit too narrow for the animals to cross over anyway, so it can be left somewhat open, so I think it looks quite good. The Irritators are pretty small. They're based off Spinosaurus, which I like. They're quite tiny, very different for a Spinosaurid. I'm using a lot of wetland plants here, like the mangroves, and I'll put in quite a lot of the water lilies and stuff as well, which are really nice. I believe, again, by Radar 1985. Fantastic mod author, really does some great stuff here. And some more tropical plants as well. I know it's quite close to the more arid Mapusaurus habitat, but I think because it is a wetland habitat, it can do with a little bit more lushness in terms of foliage and stuff, and I think it all looks quite good. We are coming close to the end of the time-lapse section, and of course in a bit I will see you in the live section for just a little bit of a tour of the park so far. And who knows, we might even build a little bit there. I don't know if we will, but you know, it could be nice to just build up the area a little bit, see what else we can add, because for the South America section, I would like to add in the Argentinosaurus mod, which is by Zach Wu, I believe, on the Nexus, who, it's essentially a Dreadnoughtus replacement, and while it's not super biologically accurate, it does look really good. And sauropods, especially the bigger ones, it's hard to get the biological accuracy because they need to angle the neck in a way that might break the animations a bit, and also the neck angling kind of changes a lot with new science anyway, so it's very much like, who knows. Anyways, we are coming up to the end now, so I will see you all in the live section in just a bit. See you there. Okay, so here we are in the game, and as you can see, these are our two habitats that we've just put together. Here, of course, is the Mapusaurus habitat, both of them over here looking fantastic. God, I love these skins. LA Studios really did a fantastic job with these. I love the spots on the side, and they just look really fantastic. Some of the best, like, large theropods we have in the game, and of course, they are large theropods. Mapusaurus is one of the largest theropod species, living quite close in time and space to Giganotosaurus or Giganotosaurus, whichever one you prefer to say. They're very closely related. I think there are barely any differences really, except for a few things in the skull. And these guys, Mapusaurus, lived alongside massive sauropods like Argentinosaurus, which is still, you know, one of the contenders for the largest land animal to ever live. So they're powerful, big creatures that probably hunted in like groups, you know, which is just an incredible idea. Imagine seeing that. Some of the largest theropods just hunting some of the largest sauropods. That must have been one incredible sight. But I really love how these animals looked. Again, LA Studios did a fantastic job. I really like how the habitat turned out. Quite liking this row of viewing platforms here, and loving these little isolated like pockets of foliage here amongst the kind of more arid landscape. Really liking these palm trees as well. Very nice. And of course, the row of foliage in the back really blocks out this fence quite well. I think they all look really nice, and I'm very happy with this one. Really turned out quite nice. Over here, of course, we have the monorail with some rocks just to kind of give a bit more texture and stuff. Next to the Irritator habitat, which, if I'm not mistaken, I forgot to give any food, so they might all be hungry. No, they're not actually, that's good, but I did forget to give them food, so... Or did I? Yeah, I totally forgot to give them food, which is something I've been just doing way too often, but there we go, here's a little bit of food for them. They're all on this island here. They are quite small, which is, yep, this guy's hungry. Oh, these skins are something else. So beautiful. Don't worry, they have food now. They'll go and run off to the food soon. But LA Studios really outdid themselves with this one. Fantastic. Look at that skin. Beautiful. And the skull and the tail shape especially, I love. Really, really great creature right here. Huge fan of how it looks. And I just love it. It's also quite small, based off the Herrerasaurus. So, you know, entirely understandable why it's that size. But in real life, of course, they were one of the smaller Spinosaurids, and I think it's interesting to see one of the... Obviously, Spinosaurus is the longest theropod, and probably one of the largest as well, in terms of body mass. So it's really cool to see a Spinosaurid, which is, like, really quite the opposite. Very small, and, yeah, it's just really nice to see. I love these two skins as well, and it's nice to put them in a group, I think, because, again, that's another unusual thing. You'd imagine Spinosaurus and other Spinosaurids to be quite solitary animals, but putting them in a quite small like size like this, I kind of like to treat them as like wading birds, where you'd see like a few herons together or something like that. So I think it's quite an interesting look for them, and very cool. I'm a big fan of how this habitat turned out too. I love this wetland area here, and I think these logs and stuff blocking the entrance to the wider lake just look really fantastic as well. And while we're here, I'm thinking we could theoretically just make the next habitat, because I think that'd be quite cool. So that's what I'm going to do now. What I'm thinking is we're going to make the Dreadnoughtus habitat in this area, and well, not Dreadnoughtus, it will be an Argentinosaurus habitat, which I think will look quite nice. I'm gonna make a wider kind of path area here where we can put some shops and stuff in a bit. And I really like how oh, that was not what I meant to do. I really like how the paths work now with these with the mods, of course. Let me just see if I can get this. Yeah, oh, almost, no. Why are you doing that? Okay. Okay. That's about as close as we can get. It's a little bit curvy, but I do not mind that. I wonder if I can like merge this together in a slightly more interesting way. Like that? Does that work? Yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. Okay, now we can delete this bit. And let's put the Dreadnoughtus habitat here. And because they're quite large sauropods, I think we'll put it, like, we'll lower the terrain slightly. I know I do that with most of my habitats, but I think it looks really good. So that we can have a low fence, you know, and then have guests be able to really, like, look at these animals in quite an up-close way while keeping them, you know, safe. Which is, of course, of paramount concern when it comes to, you know, Jurassic Park / Jurassic World. God, I'm so excited for the new game. Like, it is so soon now. It's less than 2 weeks. I believe it's 12 days from when I upload this video. So, you know, hugely excited. I am thrilled with the amount of, like, new species we're getting. Hold up. See something funny going on here. What's going on there? Is there something up with this path? Is it not straight? I'm gonna be irritated if it is. Get it, pun, because Irritator. It looks fine. Okay, new fence. Apologies, by the way, if you can hear any background noise, because I live in London, and it's always going to be background noise because it's London. And right now there's construction going on. Like, why is this always at an angle? That's annoying. Stop being at an angle. I want it to be like flush with the path, if at all possible. Yep, there's another angle. That is annoying. Okay, path. So this video is going to be longer now that I've decided to build this, so hopefully it's not too long. I was meant to do the T-Rex episode as a live play as well, but for some reason my recording software was being a bit annoying, so that didn't end up happening. Hopefully today it's all fine. Let's see if this should be... How big is this? This is already quite a chunky habitat. So one of the issues with this Argentinosaurus habitat is that I can't think of any other species that would actually fit in here, that would have kind of existed in the same environment. So this might be like a case of having to mix species that maybe wouldn't necessarily have coexisted, which I try to avoid doing with this park, because I've done that a lot in the previous park and it was fine. But it's I quite like it when there is, when it's a big habitat that shares a bunch of species that would have naturally lived together. So I'll have to look at the formations and then see what other species we can add in here. In fact, I might take a break in a second from this and actually look up what species we can add, so that we can really get something quite interesting. Let's see how tight we can get this cliff side. I will of course flatten out the edges, but I think starting off like this will be fine. Like, just so we can get a good idea of what this will look like. Okay. Also want to keep the monorail relatively flat, because it's a monorail and I don't want it to like roller coaster all over the place essentially. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, it's not like we can't get like perfect cliff edges, but that's just the nature of the game. And I think this looks fine for what it is. Okay, everything kind of, yep, okay, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I can use rocks, of course, to like further make it like feel a bit more, like give it a bit more depth essentially. There is quite a large habitat, and I think a herd of like Argentinosaurus would be fine in here. Once again, these are some of the largest animals to have ever, existed on land. So giving them a good amount of space is absolutely fine, I think. It's a nice little water area here, which I think looks nice. Just like something. It doesn't have to be like anything specific, not like a lake or a river, but like, as long as it looks interesting, I think we can get away with like some relatively maybe unnatural formations, Okay, let's see. Lower this up. I really like how it looks when the water gets really shallow like this. Okay, so I had a bit of a game crash and lost about 10 minutes of work, but that's not awful. So let's just continue from where we left off here. And I'll try to redo what I did so that you guys can see what I did. And it won't be exactly the same, but that's not awful at all. And 10 minutes of work isn't the end of the world by any means. What I did before was actually I put in a mountain over here. And I really liked how that looked. So let's try and recreate that. It's like, so when it comes to mountains and stuff in this game, kind of giving them prongs is really quite nice. Like, so they have this really interesting kind of like splayed out look, which is kind of how mountains are in real life. And I'll just add in some water here to clear that up a bit. And then we'll add in some terrain kind of all over the place, because, of course we need to really up the terrain. Any kind of like steep raised areas usually do well with rock, kind of around the outside here. There we go. Rock around the outside. That all works well. Now I'm just going to quickly add in a decent amount of foliage just around here, because anywhere that we don't really want to build in, I think adding in this forest and making it kind of like disappear off into the background works quite well. Like, I think like that, because Like, I don't necessarily think we will build that far back anyways, but just having this, I think really yeah, it helps quite a bit in the sense of like creating depth, and smoothing this out as well just really does a lot for, you know, like making it so that it just seems like there are natural boundaries that the animals just aren't going to go past. So I think that works quite well. I really like how this mountain looks actually there. So now what we're going to do is, because we have a mountain here, something quite important to do is to make sure the dinosaurs aren't going to climb up there and do weird animations, because that is something they will do. That's why I think the terrain system in the base game was relatively limiting. It's because if we do have these sharp edges, the dinosaurs will not really register them as non-traversable, so they will just try and traverse it anyways. And that's why we get a lot of funky animations. So I completely understand why they did it. But now with mods, I think using this invisible fence system is kind of an easy way to get around it. So hopefully this works out. If I remember where I put the fences, but the easy way to do that is to use the map. Oh, overshot myself a little bit, but that is okay. I can just find the edge here and connect it. So now you can see dinosaurs can't access this area at all. And to make it a bit smoother and allow dinosaurs to access the back areas, you just smooth out any areas you want them to be able to walk up without any issues. And I think that looks really good. So now you can see the dinosaurs are able to walk all around here without looking too weird on the mountainous area here. And now what we're going to do is basically just put in about 1 million rocks all over the place. First up, some flat ones here just to give the mountain some more depth and like a plateau-y kind of vibe just up here, which I quite like. Same goes for the back here. Doesn't have to be everywhere, but I really like these flat rocks for kind of what they can really bring to the table in terms of like creating some really sharp edges in a mountain or cliffside. So really, really good, I think. Like that. Okay, maybe some up here. I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with this front area. I think I'll put in some viewing areas, but I'll leave that for now. Then I'll add in some forest here, small amounts. Just small little dabbles of forests to make the mountain look bigger than it is. Oh, wrong rock. I think I'm going to go for... So this rock has become one of my favorites. Let me show you. Rock number 2, because you can just like put in loads of them like this by just constantly clicking, and you get amazing rock formation very easily, especially when you're building larger things like this mountain. I think it works really well, like just clicking constantly, and without clipping, this is just amazing. God, I really am not looking forward to seeing things clip against each other again in like Jurassic World Evolution 2. Don't get me wrong, I love the amount of creative freedom we have in that game, but there's something that you really can't beat about the ability to like just put things wherever you want without like worrying about them like having any sort of restriction. And honestly, like I understand why games, you know, don't let you do this. Like things look weird when they like clip against each other, you know, like it takes away from the vibe of the game, it takes away a bit from the realism. Your immersion breaks a little bit. So it's only really viable in like a true pure sandbox, and Jurassic World Evolution has never been that kind of game specifically. It's always been about management and stuff like that. And while a lot of us do play it like pure sandboxes, you know, the management aspect is really what makes Jurassic World Evolution, and I am completely fine with that. Like, I don't miss the while I will... Okay, that's a weird statement. I will kind of miss the freedom that mods do give you, but not in the way that it's going to break the game for me. I'm still going to enjoy the game quite tremendously, whether or not it has that same creative freedom or not. It's just... I don't know, I guess it's... It depends a lot on how you're playing the game. For example, when I'm playing campaign mode, I don't want to be able to do any of this stuff. Like, I'd much rather be able to focus on the management without really worrying too much about like creativity and stuff, because often in the campaign you're a lot more restricted, and it gives you, I think, more incentive to be creative, to make your parks look nice without, you know, having all this freedom. I don't know what kind of point I'm trying to make here. Essentially, I'm saying I like mods and their creative freedom, but I don't mind not having them for the main game in itself, you know? I'm very much fine either way. Okay, let's put this in. By the way, I am sorry if you can hear any of the background noise. Like, the construction is just not stopping in this area at the moment, and it is a huge pain, so apologies there. Crag. Okay, so adding in some of this low-lying brush, I think that looks really good. I'm just going to save the game quickly because I had a crash earlier and I lost a bit of work, so don't want that to happen again. There we go, saved. So now what we're going to do is quickly actually put in the feeders so that we can put in some really nice tall plants on top of them to kind of hide them. Okay, so we have 4 feeders there. And then what we're going to do is going to go look for some of the taller trees. I'm going to go with the kapoks, I believe. Again, these are imported straight from Planet Zoo by Irritator in 1985, I believe. Did a fantastic job importing them, making them look still quite realistic. There we go. Oh, I think that looks so good. And it's gonna like really be quite fantastic seeing the herbivores eat from them. These trees are really tall, so they're gonna like overshadow our dinosaurs a little bit. Despite these being the largest land animals on the planet, you know, like seeing them next to trees that really dwarf them is gonna be quite odd, I think, because suddenly it takes away a little bit from their size. But I think seeing people next to them is what really gets you, because then you have a sense of scale and you're like, oh my god. That is a tremendous animal. Oh, is that the same? Have I been using the small ones? I would like to use the large ones. Okay, that works. Yeah, okay. I'd like some variation here and see how the small works. Small is pretty good, yeah. Okay, that works. Okay, and then now we have these clusters. I would like to use some other trees, and I think the Brazil nut tree should work pretty well as well. There we go. I think that looks nice. And of course I will add some different height variations as well. Yeah, I think this looks really good. Really nice environment. I'm a big fan of how this looks. Okay, and then what I'm going to do back here is just add in some trees. Yeah, if we can do this and lower the intensity a bit as well, we can get hopefully just a couple like lower lying trees just to... Yeah, that's okay. I think I'd rather leave some of these like just freestanding on their own, but if we can get a few nice trees there, that would be nice. This one's being funny. Oh, I think it's too close to a fence, maybe? I don't know. But okay, so moving on. I think some palm trees would be quite nice. I might have already gone past them. Let me see. Scrolling down, back up. That is a bit tricky when you have like 90 plus scenery items. Okay, yeah, we got some palms. Let's put them by the rocks and stuff. Yeah, I think this looks like a quite nice prehistoric landscape, you know? Like, it feels very prehistoric. Which is what I'm going for, obviously. Gosh, I am not great at like commentary while I'm doing things, as you might have noticed. I'm just like saying things. But hopefully it's still somewhat entertaining, you know? I don't want it to be completely boring. But yeah, let me know in the comments, by the way, just what do you think of this park? What do you think of my idea to like hopefully well, you know, make videos every day until release, because that sounds kind of not feasible for me, but we'll see whether it works. You know, we'll see. I like the idea of kind of building up to this release with like quite regular videos and then settling back into a schedule once the actual new game is out. I really love these ferns, by the way. They're part of one of Zach's packs, and they're so good. Really, really fantastic ferns. Like, they fit everywhere, almost every biome quite well. Oh, I'm loving this. Oh my god, by the way, I noticed in someone's playthrough, I think might have been Best in Slot's playthrough of Chaos Theory from Jurassic World Evolution 2, that there were logs in some of the foliage brushes, and I am thrilled about that. Just the fact that we have logs that we don't get to individually place them, which is a bit of a shame, but they look fantastic, and I'm very much a fan of how that looks. Okay, some some of these palms as well. Really nice. I think that looks quite nice. I may just do a little bit of terrain work quickly here. It looks a bit too flat. Just very gentle terrain work, you know. Something very light just to get a bit of terrain variation in here. Because it's too flat. Sometimes too flat just doesn't look too good. Okay, I think that's good with plants. I'm just going to add in a few more little tiny bits of scenery, really. Nothing too fancy. Where are the logs? I like some logs. I put logs in every single thing so far. But it works, you know. There we go. Large fallen log. Ta-da! Finishing touch. Of course, I will update this further. I'll put in some viewing areas and stuff. But I just wanted to do a rough thing so you guys could see it. And then we could add in the dinosaurs as well, so they look really good here. And then we can do some cinematics. So let's go up here. Oh, we're actually so close to the operation center. Let's look at the map very briefly. So this area is South America over here. North America up here. I think I would like a Cenozoic area somewhere here. And then maybe an Asia area in the middle. And then maybe one final North America habitat here for the Jurassic North American animals. I really want to do an Asian area as well because some of the East Asian dinosaurs we have are fantastic, like Omesaurus, the Yangchuanosaurus, one of the best dinosaurs, one of the best modded dinosaurs we have. So, you know, really, really great additions, I think. There we go, Dreadnoughtus. I wonder what skins we could add for them. Okay, so now I've finished up kind of the busy work of hatching all the dinosaurs and putting them into the habitat, which I thought I was going to show you, but then I realized, God, that would take far too long, and this video is already long enough. So I did that all ahead of time, chose a couple nice skins for the Argentinosaurus, and I kind of looked at what other species might fit, and it turns out in the formation where Argentinosaurus was discovered, there are some trace fossils of unknown hadrosaurs, so I thought I'd include some generic hadrosaurs in the form of the game's Mapusaurus, which has some beautiful skins. One of my favorite hadrosaurs in the game because it has those really gorgeous, bright, like vivid green skins. Like the tiger, the woodland, and the basic skin all work very well together to create variation. So I include a whole bunch of those. They're all ready now, and I've put them all in the habitat here, which again would have taken way too long if I did that on camera. So here they are. I think they all look really fantastic. The habitat itself is still very much a work in progress. We are going to spend some time off screen just adding in more detail, adding in viewing areas and stuff, all that, because it'll take a bit of time, and I thought might as well do it off screen between episodes. But otherwise, I think they all look fantastic. Zach did a great job on this mod here. Love the shape of the animal. I think in real life the neck would have been a bit lower, slightly. But otherwise, I think they look fantastic as animals, very much like what a sauropod would look like. I think with the thick neck, the really chunky body, and the nice long tail there. And they look so good here. I love the two skins. This is the steppe and the alpine, I believe. So they work quite well together to create dimorphism. And of course the Motherboard all chilling here in their beautiful range of skins. All looking fantastic. Very, very cute. And they just add nice variety here. I might add in one or two more species to this habitat because it is so big, but I haven't decided which ones or how I will incorporate them, so we'll decide that at a later time. But otherwise, very pleased with how this all turned out, and you'll see some nice shots of it in the cinematics, of course, if I remember to record them. And over here we'll add in some shops and stuff like that at a later time as well. Before we wrap up the episode, I thought I'd just show you some of the previous things we've done. Here's, of course, the main street, which that looks really good, I think. Spinosaurus skeleton over there, T-Rex statue over here, all looking really good. Here's some of our first habitats. This is the Nanooksaurus habitat, much more dense than the one we've just done. Very, very temperate. Same goes for the Gorgosaurus habitat here and the Albertoceratops habitat just back here, all looking really good. The massive Hell Creek habitat just back here, they're still the largest one with the largest amount of dinosaurs. In another episode down the line, we'll definitely go on a tour of the truck tour down here and look at all these beautiful animals. They all look fantastic. Really love this. And of course, here's some of the newer ones, the Lambeosaurus habitat and our T-Rex kingdom, which looks really good. I love this. And of course, our beautiful Tyrannosaurs themselves down here. Look at how fantastic they look. Really great looking animals, and a really nice habitat, I think, if I do say so myself anyways. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's a long one. Look forward to many more episodes before the release of Jurassic World Evolution 2, because of course we actually do have to finish up this park soon. So I do hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you look forward to the next ones. Thanks so much for watching. Do subscribe for more Jurassic World Evolution content. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!